Kirk Douglas slapped a director across the face in front of the entire crew. 50 people saw it happen. The director hit the ground, and when the studio demanded an apology, Kirk said 2 words that ended the conversation. "Fire me. This is the story Hollywood buried for 40 years. June 17, 1963. Warner Brothers Studios. Stage 7. A film called The Cardinal was in production. Kirk Douglas wasn't the star of this film. He had a supporting role. 4 weeks of work, easy money, nothing complicated. But on day 12, everything changed. The director was a man named Victor Haines. Talented, successful, 3 hit films in a row. The studio loved him. The crew hated him. Victor Haines was a screamer, a bully, the kind of director who made people cry for sport. He threw scripts. He threw coffee cups. He threw tantrums that lasted hours. But his real specialty was actresses. Young actresses. The ones just starting out. The ones who needed the job. The ones who couldn't fight back. Kirk had heard the rumors. Everyone had. But rumors were just rumors. Hollywood was full of them. Then Kirk saw it with his own eyes. Her name was Catherine Moore, 22 years old, fresh out of drama school. This was her first real film role. 3 lines, maybe 4, but it was a start. Catherine was nervous. Who wouldn't be? First day on a major studio lot, surrounded by stars, being directed by the famous Victor Haines. The scene was simple. Catherine had to walk through a door, deliver her line, and exit. 30 seconds of screen time. She did the first take. Fine, professional. Nothing special, but nothing wrong. Cut. Victor's voice was ice. Catherine froze. Victor walked toward her, slowly, deliberately. The entire crew watched. What the hell was that? "I'm sorry, Mr. Haines." Catherine's voice trembled. "I can do it again. You're damn right you can do it again." Victor was inches from her face now, because what you just did was garbage. Absolute garbage. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Victor grabbed her arm, hard. The crew gasped. "Don't apologize to me." Victor's grip tightened. "Show me you're not a waste of film stock. Show me you deserve to be here." Catherine tried to pull away. His grip held. "Please, Mr. Haines, you're hurting me." Victor smiled, that cold, cruel smile that his crew knew too well. "Pain is part of the process, sweetheart. You want to be an actress? Learn to take it." Kirk Douglas was standing 20 feet away. He'd been watching the whole thing. His blood was boiling. But Kirk was a professional. He knew how Hollywood worked. Directors had power. Actors who made trouble got blacklisted. The smart move was to look away. Mind your own business. Kirk had never been good at smart moves. "Hey." Kirk's voice cut through the silence. Victor turned, still gripping Catherine's arm. "Stay out of this, Douglas. This doesn't concern you." Kirk walked toward them, slowly, each step deliberate. Let go of her arm. Victor laughed. "Excuse me?" Kirk stopped 3 feet away. His voice was quiet. "Dangerous. I said let go of her arm. I won't ask again." The set was frozen. 50 crew members watching. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Victor's eyes narrowed. "You think you can tell me what to do on my own set? You're a supporting actor, Douglas." "You're nobody here." Kirk smiled. That wasn't a smile. "Maybe, but in about 3 seconds, I'm going to be the guy who broke your nose. So let go of her arm." Victor hesitated. He saw something in Kirk's eyes, something that told him this wasn't a bluff. He released Catherine's arm. Catherine stumbled backward, clutching her wrist, red marks where Victor's fingers had been. Kirk didn't take his eyes off Victor. "Catherine, go to your trailer. Get some ice for that arm." Catherine nodded, tears streaming down her face. She ran off the set. Kirk and Victor stood face to face. "You just made a big mistake, Douglas." Victor's voice was low, venomous. I'm going to bury you. I'm going to make sure you never work in this town again." Kirk nodded slowly. "Maybe you will, but first, I'm going to tell you something." Kirk stepped closer. Close enough that only Victor could hear. "I've been watching you for 12 days. I've seen how you treat people, the screaming, the throwing things, the way you corner young actresses when you think nobody's looking." Victor's face went pale. Kirk continued, "I know about Sarah Mitchell last year. I know about Jennifer Hayes the year before. I know about all of them, the ones who were too scared to talk, the ones whose careers you destroyed when they said no." Victor's mouth opened, closed. No words came out. Kirk's voice dropped to a whisper. "You're a predator, Victor. You use your power to hurt people who can't fight back, and that ends today." Victor found his voice. "You can't prove anything. Nobody will believe you." Kirk smiled. "I don't need to prove anything. I just need to make sure everyone on this set knows who you really are. And trust me, Victor, after today, they'll know." Kirk turned to walk away. Victor made a mistake. He grabbed Kirk's shoulder, spun him around. "You think you're better than me?" Victor spat. "You're just an actor, a puppet. You're nothing without directors like me." Kirk looked at Victor's hand on his shoulder. Then he looked at Victor. Then he slapped him. Not a punch, a slap, open palm, across the face. The sound echoed through the soundstage like a gunshot. Victor hit the ground. 50 crew members stared in shock. Kirk stood over him. "That was for Catherine, and for every woman you've ever terrorized." Kirk straightened his jacket. "I'm done with this film. Find yourself another supporting actor." He walked off the set. The fallout was immediate. Victor Haines called the studio head, demanded Kirk be fired, demanded he be blacklisted, demanded a public apology. The studio head called Kirk. "Kirk, what the hell happened?" Kirk told him. "Everything. The harassment, the grabbing, the rumors that everyone knew but nobody talked about." The studio head was quiet for a long moment. "Kirk, even if all that is true, you can't just assault a director on his own set. There are procedures. There are proper channels." Kirk's voice was steel. "Proper channels? How many women have gone through proper channels and been ignored? How many careers has Victor destroyed while everyone looked the other way?" Kirk took a breath. "I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen." Victor Haines put his hands on a young woman, and I stopped him. If that ends my career, so be it. The studio head sighed. "Kirk, be reasonable. Victor is threatening to sue. He's threatening to go to the press." "Then let him." Kirk's voice didn't waver. "Let him explain to the press why he had his hands on a 22-year-old actress. Let him explain why 50 crew members saw him intimidating her. Let him go on record defending himself." Silence on the line. Kirk continued. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to fire Victor Haines. You're going to hire a new director. And you're going to make sure Catherine Moore keeps her role in this film." The studio head laughed nervously. "Kirk, I can't just fire a director because—" "Yes, you can." Kirk cut him off. "Because if you don't, I'm going to call every reporter I know and tell them exactly what Victor Haines does to young actresses. And then I'm going to call every actress he's ever worked with and ask them to tell their stories too." Kirk paused. "Your choice." 3 days later, Victor Haines was fired from the Cardinal. The official story was creative differences. The real story stayed buried for decades. Kirk was right about one thing. Once he started asking questions, actresses started talking. Not publicly, not yet, but quietly. To each other. To Kirk. To anyone who would listen. There were dozens of them. Women whose careers Victor had destroyed because they wouldn't give him what he wanted. Women who had been silenced by fear, and shame. Kirk listened to every story. He believed every woman, and he made sure Victor Haines never directed another major film. Catherine Moore finished The Cardinal with the new director. She went on to have a 30-year career in Hollywood, television mostly, a few films, nothing spectacular but steady work, a good life. She never forgot what Kirk Douglas did for her. In 2017, Catherine Moore was 76 years old. The Ajahn Me Too movement was exploding across Hollywood. Women were finally telling their stories. Predators were finally being held accountable. A journalist tracked down Catherine for a story about the early days of Hollywood harassment. Catherine told the story of Victor Haines, of the day he grabbed her arm, of the day Kirk Douglas slapped him in front of 50 people. The journalist was stunned. Kirk Douglas did that? In 1963? Catherine smiled. Kirk Douglas was fighting this battle before anyone else knew there was a battle to fight. He risked his career for a woman he barely knew, a nobody actress with 3 lines. Catherine's eyes grew wet. I've spent 54 years wondering what would have happened if Kirk hadn't been there that day. If he'd looked the other way like everyone else. Would Victor have stopped with grabbing my arm? Or would it have gotten worse? She wiped her eyes. Kirk Douglas saved me. Not just that day. He saved my career. He saved my dignity. Maybe he saved my life. The journalist asked if Catherine had ever thanked Kirk. Catherine nodded. I wrote him a letter a few years ago. When he was very old and very sick, I told him what that day meant to me. I told him he was my hero. Did he write back? Catherine pulled out a piece of paper, worn from being read 100 times. His son helped him write it. Kirk had had a stroke. He couldn't write himself anymore. She read the letter aloud. Dear Catherine, I remember that day. I remember Victor. I remember being angry. But mostly I remember you, a young woman trying to do her job, trying to follow her dream. You didn't deserve what Victor did to you. Nobody does. I'm glad I was there. I'm glad I could help. Keep acting. Keep dreaming. Never let anyone make you feel small. Your friend, Kirk. Catherine folded the letter carefully. He called me his friend. Kirk Douglas, one of the biggest stars in history. He called me his friend. She looked at the journalist. That's who Kirk Douglas was. Not the movies, not the awards. The man who slapped a predator in the face and said, "That's for every woman you've ever terrorized." Catherine smiled through her tears. That's a hero. A real one. And sometimes, if you look closely at the old photographs from Hollywood's golden age, you can still see it. Not the fame, not the awards, but the look in a man's eyes when he chose principle over comfort. Kirk Douglas played tough guys on screen, but off-screen, he was tougher. In an industry built on pretending, his courage was the only real thing that lasted. Is there a moment in your life where you wish someone had stood up for you? Or a moment where you stood up for someone else? Hollywood has many secrets, but these are the ones worth telling. If you want to know the real stories, the ones they didn't put in the magazines, you're in the right place. We are peeling back the curtain on the man who never bent. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to Kirk Douglas, the man who never bent. We are just getting started. There are stories about Bert, about Spartacus, and about the moments that defined a legend. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Leave a comment below. What would you have done in Kirk's position? I'll see you in the next video. Never bend.